Posiadający bogate doświadczenie w opracowywaniu i prowadzeniu szkoleń, pracy z ciałem oraz grup osobistego rozwoju. Przebywał w Osho Commune International, gdzie będąc uczniem Osho, bezpośrednio od mistrza otrzymał wskazówki odnośnie pracy z ludźmi. Jest twórcą metody MER, mięśniowo-powięziowego rozluźniania energetycznego. Satyarthi Peloquin.
Where are you from?
I'm from California, from San Francisco, Marin County, the Bay Area as they call it.
And what is the method that you teach?
I teach something called Myofascial Energetic Release.
Wow.
I created it. And it works through the body. It's a hand-on approach that works through the body. And it works with the different layers of deep tissue or fascia in the body. And I called it energetic because it doesn't only work with the fascia and the different layers of deep tissue, it works also energetically.
How?
It works emotionally, it works because what happens in the body is a bioelectric system. So it's full of energy. It's what keeps us alive, and our life force is energetic. So when there's contraction in the fascia, it blocks energy. It holds energy. Energy becomes stuck or stagnant. And when the fascia releases, the energy starts to move. Now, a lot of deep body work doesn't focus on that movement of energy. They stay with the strokes and the structure. But I then start to focus on the movement of energy, and it can manifest as physical movement, which I call myofascial unwinding, which is a spontaneous release that happens through the body in the form of movement, or it can happen through emotional release or awareness, that emotions start to get triggered. And those emotions then I support verbally and I support with my hands so that the emotion can come through.
This work needs a therapist to be present, or I can do it for myself?
No, the work is a session with a bodywork therapist, with a myofascial energetic release therapist. Of course, when I work with people, I give them homework, to do on their own, where they do certain movements, they do the unwinding, they become aware of their emotional state and how it relates to the pain syndromes they live with, or how it relates to the way in which they keep themselves separate rather than connected with other people or with life.
When did you discover body to be such an important tool?
Well, I'm 66, so when I was 21, I was a professional dancer in San Francisco. And then I dropped out of that, actually, the whole performing arts of it, and I joined a dance teacher who taught dance as self-inquiry and dance as ritual. And at the exact same time I did that, I started learning structural bodywork or deep bodywork in Esalen, which was a big growth center there. And so that was when I was around 22, 23 that it started really. But it actually started before. But I started to actually use it professionally then.
And what is the role of emotions in our life?
Well, emotions, it's a big question because emotions can be both positive and negative. Positive emotions basically means that you're satisfying your needs, that the needs that we have are being satisfied or being fulfilled. So in positive emotion, we feel pleasure, we feel open, we feel alive. And that's and that is a very beautiful place to live. And we can't be discriminative between positive and negative because we all have a lot of negative emotions. We all have a dark side. So our negative emotions basically are saying to us that we're not fulfilling our needs. And so they're actually giving us direction, and they should be allowed. Emotion should be allowed. In the word emotion, energy in motion, it should be allowed to be felt, and in an appropriate way it should be allowed to be expressed. It's the holding back of emotion that separates us from our life energy.
I heard that you were the therapist for Osho.
Yeah, I did like, what did I do? I think I did about 90 sessions on Osho.
90
Yeah,
sessions.
90. One time over a period of 2.5 months and another time over a period of a couple of weeks.
So how was it? Can you tell us more about it?
Well, you know, I'm M, and when I was doing sessions on Osho, I was a disciple and I was living in his community. So the first place, it was an amazing honor to be able to be that close to him and to touch him and to do body work with him. And he made it very easy for me in a way. He made me feel very, very comfortable. He was very gentle and soft and present with me in a very loving way. Because I was a little nervous at the beginning.
I can imagine.
And he was extremely responsive, you know. He had a million questions when I was working on him. He would say, pain point here, pain point there, pain point here, pain point there. Is there a reason for these pain points? Does everybody have these pain points? Why am I have pain point on the right, not so much on the left? Is that to do with the left side of my brain? Right? He was asking me all kinds of questions. I think he was wanting me to explore and to be more inquisitive and to discover. So I would go home and study. When I came out of the session, you know, I was doing them every day. When I would walk out of the session, I was in a really altered state of consciousness. I was very deep. I had a contact high, basically. I was very deep and silent, and it felt like I was on some drug, but a very silent drug. I was in a space of meditation, a heartful space of meditation that I hadn't experienced before. And you know, it was very interesting. I think it was one of the most interesting times of my life, that time that I was doing sessions on Osho, for many, many different reasons, you know.
So Osho felt pain as well.
Yeah, and he told me that it's a misconception that Buddhists don't feel pain. He had tension in his body, you know, he hardly moved. He just sat all day or lied or sat or lied or sat for years, you know, when I did sessions on him. And he stayed in his room. So, of course, his body got tight. It wasn't tight because of emotional holding or psychological fears. It was tight through lack of motion. And something I don't understand. But he had tension, and that tension would manifest as pain when I worked in it. But the thing that was amazing is he never reacted to pain. So I would go very deep into a pain point, and most people's breathing would change if you do that. You know, they would try to, and
or they would love to
his
stop.
breathing was so shallow because it was such a meditative breath, and it would never, ever, ever change. He was then, in my understanding, he was not identified with the pain. He was a witness to it, as awakened people are. They're not identified with their bodies or their minds. They're a witness to it.
You said that this is a misconception that life without pain is even possible. So what is pain in our life?
Well, you know, we're talking about two different things. There's like physical pain, you know, that people, I mean, now physical pain is the biggest epidemic that humanity suffers from. Backaches, neck aches, knee pain, you know, it's the biggest epidemic, period.
Sure.
There's more people lose time at work, more money is spent through the healthcare system because of physical chronic pain than any other disease on the planet. And in my opinion, what causes physical pain is high contraction of fascia. Fascia is connective tissue that surrounds all the tissues of the body, all the tissues of the body. If you took away all the other tissues of the body, which is impossible, you would have an exact replica of the body down to each cell of the body. And there's something like 60 trillion cells in the body. So it would be a perfect sponge. So fascia is a holistic system, and one of the properties of fascia is that it has pain receptors. And they're just finding this out in the last 7 to 8 years, that there's a lot of pain receptors called nociceptors in fascia. So when that fascia contracts and stays contracted, yeah, at a certain level of contraction, it compresses those pain receptors and it registers as a low back pain, as a neck pain, as a knee pain, as a shoulder pain. The good news is that it's completely reversible. The bad news is that the medical world doesn't see fascia as the cause of pain. They think it's always structural within the joint, a degeneration of cartilage in the spine, disc herniation or disc degeneration, what they call functional arthritis, inflammation of a joint. They see that as the cause of pain. And that's a misunderstanding, a bad one. Because in that misunderstanding, there's millions and millions of people every day that get misdiagnosed and therefore get the wrong treatments and live their whole life in pain. Now, underlying the physical pain, in my perception, is usually emotional repression, negative beliefs, and dysfunctional patterns or habits.
So working through body, we can touch those layers, right?
The emotional layers and the negative beliefs, yeah, because everything is one organic unity. So the body, mind, and heart or feelings are one organic unity. There's no separation. We only separate them to try to understand them, yeah, or we separate them because we become separate with ourselves. We separate from our feelings, we separate from our bodies. But in fact, it's one organic unity. And so working through the body is a beautiful way to release repressed emotions. And working through the body is a beautiful way to embody somebody so that a lot of negative beliefs start to disappear. It's not a holistic system. There is no holistic system, you know. I try my best with Myofascial Energetic Release to make it more holistic. But, you know, I tell people to go to therapists. I tell people to meditate. I tell people to do other practice because, you know, in order to really grow or transform, there's no one practice that does it. So, yeah, it's just part of a whole.
You said that process of pain is totally reversible. How much time we need to do that?
You know, amazing. Sometimes I work on people from all over the world. They come to me in pain. And sometimes it's just one session and it's
really
better. And it always surprises me. I always tell people, even if it gets better in one session, and it happens a fair amount depending on the pain and where it is and how long it's been there and the psyche of the person, I think. And sometimes it takes 5 or 8 sessions to get rid of the pain. And, you know, I would say 90 to 95% of the people who come to me in pain get better. And then there's that 5%, 5 to 10% that for some reason they don't get better.
But still, it's a really positive statistics.
Yeah, no, it's a really high percentage. Yeah, that's true. And it's not just me because I've been doing this work for so long, but, you know, people that just learn the work. When they can release the fascia and start to work a little energetically, getting the people to find their energy flow and that fascia release and gain an understanding of where the pain comes from. That is so important. That the pain comes from emotional repression and psychological defense, 90% of the time. Sometimes also from dysfunctional habits. If you sit like this all day, you might start getting pain in your low back or neck, right? But our repetitive stress movements. But mostly, and this is not accepted by the medical world at all, even by a lot of body workers, mostly it has to do with emotional repression and psychological holding patterns. They form the fascia in the contracted state that creates pain.
Thank you for showing us how working with fascia is important. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Więcej na portalu One Energy. Subskrybuj nasz kanał na YouTube i dołącz do społeczności na Facebooku.